Hey there, how's it going? Gonna be doing a let's play of a new free, I'm guessing a visual novel. I think it's a visual novel. Uh, the sad story of Emmeline Burns. Looked on good old YouTube and didn't really see much on it, so I don't know if that's because it's new or because this game sucks. I don't know. So but we're gonna play through it and find out. I wonder if it's actually gonna be sad. Oh, look at that. Achievement unlocked. What's in the name? So, my name is Toma Andrews, and I didn't have time to read that. So, it's all Aunt Catherine's fault. Of course. Most things are, according to Mum. Is this an English thing going on? Alright. Stealing Mum's favorite dress when they were both schoolgirls was bad enough, but stealing the name of her first and only daughter. Now, that's low. Not many of us can sink to within our lifetimes. It's not that big of a deal, come on. My name was supposed to be Amelia. Mom has always loved the name Amelia, though I don't know why. She wanted to call me Amelia if I was a girl, and Thomas if I was a boy, after her father. And then Aunt Catherine ruined everything. Fucking Aunt Catherine. Aunt Catherine, that bitch, fell pregnant with her first child around the same time my mum found out she was going to have me. Their due dates were also very similar, only a few weeks apart. Though mum and the bitch had never been partially close, they spent more time together during their twin pregnancies than they had done over the last decade. They attended the same hospital for their checkups and went to the same support group at the Civic Center, and their rocky relationship improved over complaints about bladder infections, morning sickness, and uncontrollable cravings for anchovies, mum, or smoked cheese, Aunt Catherine. No, I don't smoked cheese, it's delicious. And then Aunt Catherine stole my name. Aunt Catherine, the bitch, is 1 year younger than my mum, but she always got things first. That's what mum told me. She was the first to have her period, oh god, to pierce her ears, and to have a serious boyfriend. She was the first to have a baby, too. A baby girl. A girl called Amelia. Mum didn't know what to do, having her dream name stolen away from her so suddenly. She had half a mind to confront Aunt Catherine about it, but didn't in the end. She only just begun to repair her relationship with her sister, and didn't want to ruin it. But she was still annoyed. She still is. Mum could have called me Amelia anyway, but the name didn't feel special to her anymore. Not when Aunt Bitch had used it. In the end, after much deliberation, Mom decided to go with her second option, Thomas. Well, that's because she's uncreative and stupid. Since I was a girl, however, Thomas was out of the question. There was a female variant of Thomas then. Thomasina, that's made up. Thomasandra, no. Thomasetta, no. Maybe not. No, definitely not. There was Toma, however. Toma Andrews. And that's how I got my name. That might explain why I don't like it very much. My name isn't really mine. Like clothes that are 2 sizes too big, it doesn't fit me properly. It never has done. What? That's because it was never intended for me. If I'd been called Amelia, would my life be any different? Would it change who I am? I don't know, because I've never been an Amelia. Just a Toma. The weird girl with the weird name. And my name isn't the only weird thing about me. I wish there were some visuals. Ever since I can remember, my mum has been obsessed with my family history. She says it's like playing detective, peeking back into the past with only fragments of information, trying to find the truth. Mum took me to the library with her when I was so small, so she could keep a watchful eye over my little blonde head while she delved into the annals. Annals? Annals? It's gotta be annals of our family's long history, but let's stick with annals. There, she would spend hours and hours searching through the online databases and old archives, on the hunt for articles about the Spencers or the Kendalls or the Lintons or the Beckets or the Bradfords. Fortunately, our family used to be pretty rich back in the day. Mum says it's a lot easier to research your family tree if you can come from a wealthy background. There are more records kept on the comings and goings of the rich as opposed to street beggars and paupers. That's probably because of the money. As soon as money is involved, people will pay attention to you. It was like that back in the 1700s, and it's exactly the same now. I remember that the floor of the library was hard, covered in a dark green carpet that was uncomfortable and scratchy, and the walls were a dull gray like the concrete blocks in a multi-story car park. Though Mum got me a library card, I always got bored within the first half an hour or so. There are only so many times you can reread volumes of Goosebumps. That's not true. They're amazing. Despite these inconveniences, however, I still found the stories Mum would tell me about my long-dead relatives interesting. The stories sounded like they came from the pages of a book, not real life, not history, my history. There were stories about my great-great-grandfather Zachary Kendall, who used to be a priest, but was fired from his post. I wonder why. Oh yeah, when he physically assaulted a member of his congregation while drunk on his Christmas day. Well, I'm guessing he was assaulted a little boy with his penis. There were stories about my great-great-great-grandmother, Maribel Spencer, who ran away from home at the age of 15 to marry her middle-aged piano teacher, Roger Beckett. There were stories about my great-great-great-great-aunt, Rose Bradford, who was rumored to be a witch, and claimed she could cure any ache or illness with a sprig of holly. I don't know why, but these stories my mum told me of unknown people from unfamiliar times always resonated with me. Maybe it was because they weren't fictional characters or celebrities, but real people. My family, part of me. I wouldn't be alive right now without Zachary Kendall, even if he did beat up a member of his congregation. And I wouldn't be alive without Maribel Spencer, even if she did have a thing for older men who could play a semi-decent Fur Elise. I can play that on piano. Part of it. Horribly, but I can't play it. In a way, I owe them. I owe them a lot. Yes, for raping little children. A lot of, both stories of both are statutory rape sounding. Well, it's confirmed on the second one. I suppose what they say is true. Blood really is thicker than water. And speaking of blood, the local library wasn't the only place my mum's investigation led her. Oh no, that was just the tip of the iceberg. She used to take me to cemeteries a lot. Not just the cemetery in here, Barrowby, All Saints, Barrowby, but cemeteries all across Lincolnshire, and sometimes even further afield to Yorkshire or Leicestershire. Are these real places? The thing about family history is, if you get obsessed with it like Mum, birth certificates and death certificates stop being enough. You want to see real evidence of your ancestors' past lives for yourself. Hence the graveyards. Lots and lots of graveyards. Every weekend without fail, my mum would take me on a trip to a graveyard searching for ancestors. Sometimes we'd turn it into a game. We'd challenge one another to see who could find Rose Bradford's final resting place the quickest. The winner got to choose what we'd listen to on the car ride home. That'll work. Being my mum's daughter, I hated her taste in music, and I was desperate to beat her. I got quite good at finding graves, if I do say so myself, even though I was around 7 or 8 and my legs weren't as long as my mum's. I was able to beat her 9 times out of 10. I used to think she was going easy on me. Now, I'm not too sure. I just have a talent. I'm good at finding dead people, even if they have been dead for 2 centuries, and all that's left behind are bones. Oh my god. Now, let me just get one thing straight. I'm not crazy. I don't think dead people call out to me or anything. I've never seen a ghost before, excluding the ones in horror movies. I guess it's just a coincidence. But it's quite a strange coincidence. However, whenever I went into a graveyard with my mum, I just knew where to look, almost instinctively. My feet just happened to lead me to a tombstone, and via some strange skill I might have inherited from Rose Bradford, the self-proclaimed psychic, I was usually right. That might be why I am so obsessed with cemeteries, even now. Just like some people prefer hot weather, others cold, I like graveyards. They remind me of my childhood, of fun times spent with my mum, searching for my relatives. When I went out looking for graves with my mum, I was almost always right. Ever since I started attending St. Hugh's College, however, I've only ever felt wrong. Though I get good grades in most of my classes, I am hopelessly lost when it comes to anything beyond that. I have hardly any friends other than Haiti, and even she might turn against me if she knew how I felt about her. I'm nothing like Amelia Miller, who just so happens to be in the same form as me. She always surrounded by people. They all love her. Would they love me if I'd been called Amelia instead? I don't know. But I do know, even though it's unfair and ridiculous, and I don't dislike Amelia, I'm still jealous of her. Her parents are still together, and her dad has a good job, and she has nice skin and pretty blue eyes, and she's incredibly popular. I, on the other hand, am awkward and shy, and I can't hold a conversation with anybody other than Haiti. I just feel like it should be Hottie. America. Hottie. That might be another reason why I like graveyards. There are a lot of people in them, but they can't bother me like they do in school. They're dead, and that's perfectly fine by me. As the saying goes, dead men tell no tales, and only leave tales behind which we can examine as we see fit. That's why I came to Barrowby All Saints this Friday. Instead of catching the bus to go to school, I just wanted some time off. A few moments where I can stop being myself, a person I've never liked. If only I'd been born as an Amelia, then my life would be so much better. No, you'd still be stupid and creepy. Oh my god, visuals, I would be so much better. Alright, about time. Get this thing going. Exciting stuff now. The day is overcast for early autumn, and a thick layer of fog creeps along the ground. The grass is wet with morning dew, but the soil beneath it is firm and hard. You know, this is the first, before we continue, visual novel I've read so far that has, like, you know, the fog is actually, it's like moving. That doesn't happen very often. I like it. I suppose that's to be expected. You wouldn't want to build a graveyard on a marshland, where people would run the risk of falling through the earth and into the graves. I might have an affinity for the dead, but not even I fancy popping in for an unexpected visit with Gerald Fisher, 1843 to 1912, and Aileen, wife of the above. It's cold, too. Ooh, there's sound effects. The wind snakes down my spine and I shiver. It isn't a rough wind, though. Instead, it's a soft, brushing past my cheeks and through my hair in almost an apologetic manner. The leaves on the trees are dark green, some already turning red and yellow, but the sun in the sky is obscured by clouds, so everything looks gray. My feet crunch over the stray leaves with every step I take, but that's the only sound I can hear. Can you guys hear that? I wonder if you can. I have my sound, I turned it up a little bit. She's crunching through those leaves. Just me, the wind, and the leaves. I do her. As I walk through these well-trodden paths, I pause, examining each tombstone that catches my interest. There's something strangely inviting about these old slabs of stone, almost as though they're greeting me. And why wouldn't they? I come here often enough. They should know me by now. Any other mother would probably find their only daughter's obsession with graveyards unsettling. Fortunately, my mum is just as weird as I am, so she doesn't question it. She must know my love of graveyards is all her fault. I nod my head in recognition as I pass each tombstone. Alistair Doncaster, Irene Douglas, Charlotte Draper, Doreen Hughes, Abel Johnson, Genevieve Parsons, Aubrey Wedgwood. Yep. I wonder about these people reduced to nothing more than names and bones. What lives did they lead? Were they happy, sad, or merely bemused by all the coincidences which led them into being? For Alistair Doncaster, that happened in 1879. For Irene Douglas, it was 1894. What was the world like back then, when these people were alive and their footsteps, not mine, crunched the leaves and fell firmly against the compacted earth? I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine it. As I walk through the graveyard, like Alice sinking into Wonderland, a heavy thought suddenly strikes me. What would it be like if I was already dead? Ooh, now you're getting dark. Oh, snap. I close my eyes. The cold wind blows across my cheeks, and I swear I can almost smell it. The earth in my nostrils, the scent of decay. Ah. Ooh, creepy. What was that sound? It was almost like a footstep. But that can't be. I'm the only person here, after all. At least I thought it was. Not anymore. A young girl stands there, her arms held by her sides, her eyes wide and blue. Oh yeah, now it's getting creepy. Her hair is loose, light brown, her fringe cut just above her eyebrows. She wears a white dress, long and modest, which falls to her ankles, has bruises around her freaking neck, and she's dead. She's gonna kill you, run away. Her dress is comprised of a number of layers and looks like something that belongs to another era, another time, in England, when Queen Victoria was on the throne, and the horse and carriage was still the main way people got about, and it was socially acceptable to wear bonnets in public. She looks like nobody I've ever seen before except characters in period dramas. There's something so unrealistic about her appearance I can hardly bring myself to believe that she's really real. Maybe that's why I do something I rarely ever do. My curiosity unsticks my throat and I find myself asking her a question. What up? Toma, are you going to a costume party? Are you referring to this old thing? That dress doesn't look like some old thing. It's expensive, right? I believe it was rather dear when Father first purchased it. Now, however, I am not particularly well versed in the economy, so I could not give you an answer. Father. What kind of girl calls their dad father? Maybe I'm just biased because my dad vanished before I was even born. Mum told me he couldn't cope with the commitment, which was quite funny, really, because he had no qualms about commitment when he asked me to sleep with him. Oh, snap. But father sounds far too dated. And I haven't even touched on the other stuff she said. The girl smiles. Her face remains pale and does not flush, but I can imagine blood coursing beneath her cheeks all the same. She gives the impression of blushing, even though she does not. That's because she did. I suppose most people would use dad nowadays. Forgive me. I am not familiar with such a phrase, and it sounds quite peculiar to me. And the plot thickens. My questions only seem to invite more questions, and I find myself drawn towards this strange girl despite myself. I want to know who she is. I want to understand her. It must be this feeling, this desperate thirst for hidden knowledge, which encouraged Mum to track down what now remains of Zachary Kendall, Maribel Spencer, Rose Bradford, and the rest. So, I've not seen you around Barrowby before. Do you live here? I have lived here for a very long time. But you don't look much older than me. I will be 15 years old this December. At least I should be. So, she's 14 too. You say that you've lived here for a long time, but I've never seen you before. You don't go to St. Hugh's, do you? She shakes her head. So, what school do you go to? Ruskin, Sandon, or Walton Girls? Not Walton. She shakes her head again. Then, are you homeschooled? That would explain what she's doing in this graveyard at 8:20 on a Friday morning, wearing such a strange outfit. She might as well have fled from one of those old-fashioned photography parlor places. That was hard to say. I suppose I was homeschooled, yes. I have never been to school before. I used to have Ellie, but I have not seen her in some time. Ellie, a private tutor. Something like that, yes. She was rather strict. She got so angry when I escaped from her stuffy old history lessons and hid over at the Linton's estate. She smiles a soft, gentle smile, like an old woman with rheumy eyes might when recalling a fond memory. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody my age pull a face like that before. Just who is this girl? But you don't have a tutor anymore. There wouldn't be much point anymore. Is she one of those YouTube celebrities then? Hey. Wait, I'm not a celebrity. She looks the part in those clothes. I don't know about that. I can imagine her as one of those eccentric, self-proclaimed living dolls who get thousands of subscribers for eating food on camera. Does that work? Should I just eat food instead of doing this? I'll try that. So, I'm sorry. This is the first question I should have asked. What's your name? Emily. Emily. I think I can remember that. It's a common enough name? I don't know. There are two Emilys in my class, Emily Hargreaves and Emily Turner. I don't know if this name fits the girl in front of me, though. Emily sounds too simple, somehow, and unfinished, too, like a sentence ending without a full stop. I don't invest any further, however. I hardly know the girl. What right do I have to ask so many questions? And if it would not be too rude, may I inquire as to what I should call you? Oh, I should have expected this. When somebody asks you for your name, it's only polite to ask for theirs in return. I don't like answering this question, though I never have done. Just what is my name, anyway? It says Toma on my birth certificate, but I can't bring myself to believe that. Not when I was fated, before I took my first breath, to be called Amelia. Oh my, do not look so troubled. You will make me feel guilty. I'm sorry. Ha, what a funny girl. You don't need to apologize. She thinks I'm funny, does she? That kind of stings, given how peculiar she looks. You do not need to tell me your name if you do not wish to. We all have our own secrets. Are you sure you don't mind? I am quite sure. I could just make up my name for you instead. Well, I hope you are not adverse to the suggestion. I rather like giving people nicknames. I would always call Miss Warren Ellie. Her first name was Helena, you see, but she got mad at me because of that too. This girl has no manners, she would always say. She may have a pretty face, but she behaves like a gutter snipe. Not that I gave a button what she thought. Father was paying her enough, so I thought it best to make her work for her wages. She may have found me irritating, but I certainly wasn't boring. Well, I suppose it's fine. Then I can think of a name for you. Yes, it doesn't bother me. Anything would be better than Toma. Well, let me see. Toma. Emily looks me up and down, one finger against her lower lip. Her smile is teasing, and her eyes flash mischievously, like a naughty schoolgirl's in an Enid Blyton story. This is a lot of stuff I don't understand. She'll be talking about condensed milk and tinned sardines next, I'm sure of it. It is true we do not know one another very well, but that is just in the present. I feel that we could become quite close if given the chance. You remind me so much of her, after all. Can it be mere coincidence? Her? I thought so from behind, too, but when you turned about, it became clearer than ever. You have her nose and her eyes, maybe even her forehead, too, but it's hard to tell, since it's all covered in hair. Well, I looked at the ground, suddenly awkward, and dig the tip of my school shoe into the earth. I shift my right foot slightly, making a small indentation in the earth. A minute grave for an ant. I don't know if I like being compared to other people. I do that enough myself. Even if I do look like one of your friends, I don't think I want their name. I was hoping for a name of my own. Yes, of course. You do not need to worry about that. I would never be so callous as to dress you in the title of another. I apologize if it seemed that way. She does sound sorry, too. Truly sorry. Even if you look like her, you are not her. You couldn't be. It's not possible. A sigh. So, let me see. A name for you. A name that belongs to you and only you. I think I have it. From now on, you can be Verity. Verity. Variety? Rarity? I don't know. Do you like it? It's pretty. Much prettier than my real name. Emily smiles, her face flushing. Though once more, it doesn't really flush. I just imagine that it does, with happiness. I'm so glad. I thought that virtue names might be too anachronistic nowadays. But I truly am fond of them. One of my aunts was called Charity, and my grandmother was Patience. Not that she was particularly patient. She used to hit my father for the smallest of misdemeanors, and when he was young boy. But that was a long time ago. Her face darkens, but only for a few moments. At any rate, I'm curious. Why are you in a gloomy place like this at such an hour, when you should be at school? Oh, I just like graveyards, I guess. They're relaxing. Relaxing? That is quite the strange thing to say. Why do you think that? I am not sure. I just like them. They're nice and quiet, and people don't come here much. When they do, they're quiet, too. It's the respectful thing to do. Apart from the local boys who tramp about here, drunk, on Friday nights, and piss on the graves and scrawl rude words on them. I glance at a nearby grave, that of Elijah, or Alicia, Faro. Somebody has scrawled across the top of it in black marker pen, God is dead. It seems we have a Banksy of our own living in Barrowby. Who would have thought? And I like thinking of stories too. Stories. Yes, graves are small, and the people buried underneath them are turned into names and dates, nothing more. I think there must be more to these people than that, though. What were their parents like? Did they have any siblings? What was their job? Were they happy? What about all the people they met, whose lives they may have changed, without them even realizing it? I don't know about all those things. I never will. It's fascinating, but at the same time, it's a little sad. I blush, my hands hanging limply at my sides. Did I say too much? I think I might have said too much. This is why I don't talk to people at school other than haughty. It's because I'm weird, and I know my fellow classmates, Emily Hargreaves and Emily Turner included, would just laugh at me. Well, maybe Amelia wouldn't. Amelia is too nice to laugh at anybody. That's what I think, anyway. It probably sounds stupid, though. No, I think you made some good points. I did? Yes, every person has a story, and there is not enough space on a single tombstone to tell it. The sad truth is, there are so many people in this world, it is not possible to remember every single story. As the years go by, they fall by the wayside. The dead must always concede to the whims of the living, even in places like this. Emily looks back at Elijah, or Alicia, Farrell's grave, decorated with the biting political commentary God is dead inside. I like thinking of stories too, in fact. I could tell you a story of my own. I have been turning it over in my head for quite some time, and I would be intrigued to hear your response. I wouldn't mind. Are you quite sure? I don't want to bore you. I can't remember the last time anybody wanted to hear what I had to say. No, I'm quite sure. I would love to. There was nothing else I wanted to do here anyway. Nothing other than wander, trying to avoid thinking about school next Monday, and how much trouble I'll be in when it's discovered I've been playing truant? I always run away from my problems. I have done ever since I was a child. I must have inherited that admirable trait from my dad. It's getting late, and I need to go to bed soon. Well then, what time is it? It's like 11. I gotta work tomorrow. Well then, if you want to follow me. Emily turns, her hair fluttering, and slips through the graveyard like a shadow. Is this the next scene? Yep. So, I'm tired, and this game is slow. Wow, game. This visual novel is a little bit slow. It's getting interesting, but I think I'm gonna call that part 1. Let's save it to slot 1. Return. So I'll try to. I don't know if people want me to. I'll do more. I might just do it anyways. But yeah, feel free to comment on what you think of it so far. That girl's dead. All right, you guys saw the bruising on her neck. Yeah, That's it. Yep. So have a good night. Stick around for part two at some point.